morning, everyone. I'm Bill Miles with the Hilton Head-Bluffton Chamber of Commerce, and welcome back to the call again today. Before we get started, I want to mention a couple things. I would encourage you to go ahead and start submitting your questions. Terrific lineup of speakers today, and I know that you'll all have some terrific questions for them as well. Can't let the moment pass without giving a shout out to the Beaufort County channel as they continue to air this, so others who are not on the call are able to watch and to view and to listen, as well as the town of Hilton Head Island, the town of Bluffton, and then of course on our chamber social channels as well. You know, it's hard to believe that next week will be the 1-year anniversary of our Power Hour Teletown Hall calls. And man, what a difference a year makes. Much has changed since our first call on March the 18th of 2020. And if we think back just a little bit, you think that this time last year, schools had just shut down. Iconic events like the St. Patrick's Day Parade were canceled. And the hope of a vaccine seemed like a lofty and at that time somewhat impossible goal. Well, here we are a year later, and we've adapted to an unprecedented worldwide pandemic with vaccinations rolling out after being developed in less than a year, which is miraculous by any standard. Students are back in the classrooms. Vaccinations are being booked, or vacations are being booked. Vaccinations are being put in people's arms. And what we're doing right now, meeting via Zoom, has become part of our everyday lives. And there's one thing that's remained constant, and that's our community tuning into our Power Hour calls. And we're extremely pleased to have so many of you continuing to tune in to hear the latest news and information. You know, as I think back, I know there are several who have been on every call. And if we'd have known back in March of 2020 what we know today, we probably would have had some type of drawing for those who were on all of our calls, and maybe even tickets on Southwest Airlines. But anyway, it's most appreciated for all of you who have been joining in. So this is an exciting week. Not only is spring in the air, and Southwest launches its low country service tomorrow with nonstop flights to Nashville, Dallas, Houston, Chicago, and Baltimore at the Savannah Hilton Head International Airport. And if you're like me, I know you can't wait. Just a little bit about Southwest Airlines. They began back in 1971 in Texas with 3 aircraft. In 2003, it became the largest domestic air carrier. Southwest is known for its innovation. They were the first to offer ticketless air travel and have been recognized by Fortune magazine as one of the most admired companies in the world. Our first guest this morning has much to do with that success. Bill Tyranny is the Vice President of Marketing for Southwest Airlines, a company that he's been part of since 2003 in a variety of areas. Southwest is a company known for its creative and innovative marketing efforts, and Bill leads the team responsible for branding, experiential marketing, and communications for the airline. Southwest has never been an airline that takes itself too seriously, and that's evident by their stock exchange symbol, LUV. And we're pleased that love is in the air and Southwest has arrived. One thing about Bill, when he's not busy guiding the marketing of one of the world's most successful airlines, you'll find him spending time with his wife, Ann, and their 5 daughters. Yes, you heard that right. They're 5 daughters. So let's welcome the Vice President of Marketing for Southwest Airlines, Bill Tyranny. Bill, welcome to the call.
Oh, thanks for having me, Bill. I appreciate it. And yeah, you did get that right. It's 5 daughters. And they were getting ready for school this morning, all of them. And I sat down here, tuned in a little bit early to your chamber video and music. And boy, my shoulders just dropped and relaxed, listening to the music and seeing those images from low country. So I'm looking forward to it. And I think I represent a lot of people who will be excited to get there. You covered a little bit. I've been at Southwest 18 years there, and it's been a dream come true. I started in customer relations, went to revenue management, and then have held various roles in marketing. And of course, when I'm not doing that, I'm doing my main role as a father of 5 and a husband in progress, I guess is the way I'll put it. And I should have known early that I was going to have daughters, all daughters. I was born on International Women's Day just a couple days ago. So to all you ladies out there, Happy International Women's Day and month. And thank you for all you do. I know I'm eternally grateful to my mother, and I'm reminded every day of how blessed I am with all these ladies in the house who keep me in line and support me, and I appreciate that as well. So this is a big week for us. Tomorrow is a big day for us as we start service to Savannah, and you mentioned the markets. You got Houston, Dallas, Chicago, Nashville, and Baltimore. And you know, Bill, I don't even know if I told you this, but Savannah was always one of those places that I was pushing for internally, and I think it's just going to be a perfect match. And while these nonstops tie into some of our biggest operations in the country, that's intentional. Our network planning team does that so we can give all the customers their access to over another 40 destinations across the country with convenient one-stop service. So you'll see that's often how we start a market. We plugged into a lot of places here. I think it's going to do really well. And then we can switch to the next slide there, and you can get a sense of this is what our network is overall. And you know, Bill was capping a lot of things in the last year with the pandemic, and it can be tough, I think, to find the blessings, to find the hidden gems. But part of the reason that we're able to be here, I think, is a byproduct of the pandemic. At Southwest, we have a very simple filter for how we make decisions overall, and that is always our employees first, our customers, then our shareholders. And what we've had to do during the pandemic is look for ways to generate more traffic, to get more planes in the air. Our flight attendants and our pilots get paid on a per trip basis. And so one of the things Adam DeCare and the network planning team have done is they've looked for different opportunity across the country to get more planes in the air. And this, to me, is just a perfect match. I was telling Bill the other day, I'd like to say it's brilliant, but when I look at everything that Low Country offers in the Hilton Head area and Savannah itself, you've got the beaches, the recreation, the golf, you've got the history, the vibrant downtown, all the things that people want to go see and do. Whether it's with the rapid reward points or just to get away. Frankly, you're probably familiar with our slogan, "Want to get away," that we use often. And I just think there's so much that you offer there. But it's part of this innovative spirit that we share with all of you in your businesses at Southwest that has led us to this moment, that has made it possible. That was the opportunity. And then, of course, when we visited down there with everybody, they were just fantastic. And so, you know, we'll start with these destinations. They'll give you access to over 40 more. And then you can see on the map here, we have 117 destinations overall. And for those of you who aren't familiar with us, I am the marketing person. I'd like to use this as an opportunity just to give you a little introduction to Southwest Airlines, what makes us a little different. Of course, you can always find our lowest fares at southwest.com. You won't find us on Expedia or the OTAs. 2 bags fly free. Bring your golf bag, bring your bags. We want you to be able to travel and have fun. We don't think we should charge you for that. So we of course invite you to bring a couple bags free. No change and cancel fees ever. And you'll hear other carriers talk about no change fees recently, but it's not applicable to all their fares in many cases. We don't charge change fees. It's that plain and simple. And then we have sort of a laid back mentality too when it comes to seating. You can pick any seat you want. So, you know, you want an aisle seat, you can take an aisle seat. But when you get on the board, we don't assign you a seat. So, you know, check in 24 hours in advance, get a good boarding position, and sit wherever you want on the plane. And then I have 2 colleagues that I have to do them a favor and support as well. One leads our loyalty program, the Chase credit card. If you can take a look at that, I think that would be fantastic for you. Today might be the last day of the offer that Jonathan and team have on our website, where you can get the coveted companion pass plus 30,000 points. And the companion pass is sort of the gem of the industry where someone can fly free with you for a year. And then, of course, for all you businesses, make sure you enroll at swabiz.com so we can get you access to all these fares in the network. But one of the things that I really wanted to leave you with and chat with you about is Bill mentioned that love is our symbol. And you hear that language a lot throughout our company. It's our stock symbol, it's our theme. And, you know, I'd say at the heart of our brand is our people, and that symbol is, of course, the heart. And I'm reminded of that every time I travel. I was traveling again last week and got a chance to chat with our flight attendants, and those are the folks, our folks that you see on the planes who really differentiate our brand. You, of course, have the low fares and all that, but it's that hospitality that they provide, the stories of them going above and beyond for customers who they're excited to see on board. That's not the case, I think, with all carriers, but that is our brand. And I think that that is where there's the very clear marriage between Savannah Hilton Head area and Southwest Airlines. And so a lot of people don't know this, even some people at the company. So I'm going to give you a little overview of the meaning of the heart so you can explain it to people. Hopefully you'll see it everywhere as we enter your beautiful market, from the beaches to the squares and everything else there. A little overview, we can bring this slide up and I'll explain it to you here. Very good. But I'm also going to hold it here, and you'll notice there's 3 colors, and the largest color is what we call warm red. And the reason it's the largest color is because it represents our warmth and hospitality, essentially what our brand is. Again, very similar to what I see as your brand. Next, you have what we call bold blue, and the bold blue represents innovation, that we're always going to have to innovate, adapt, and change to not only survive, but thrive. And the example I give here is exactly what we're trying to do at Southwest with these new markets entering Savannah. We're innovating and growing at a time when other people are cutting. Competition is cutting, and we're growing and giving new access. So that represents the innovation with which we work. And then this sunrise yellow over here in the upper right corner is something that we've kept especially in mind over the course of the last year. And that reminds us that our future is always bright and that we always have something to look forward to. And I'll tell you, you may have seen some articles. Bill mentioned people getting their vaccines. And I saw a story about seniors getting back on planes in droves. And when I was traveling last week, it brought a smile on my face. I was just going in through a terminal and I saw grandparents there with a little box, an American Girl doll box. And I'm sure they were going to see their granddaughter they probably hadn't seen in a long time. On Sunday, when I was pulling my car out of the driveway, the neighbor stopped me and asked me to come over and take a picture of he and his family. It was his parents. It was the first time they had seen them in a year. And so you can see these signs of life. And I could see it, frankly, as I look forward to the summer. And I'm very optimistic about our business and your business there locally, that we have a bright future ahead of us. And then lastly, and not to be lost, is the Summit Silver, which goes around the borders of the heart. And that represents the precision with which our employees work every day. And what I can promise you is that you will see that heart show up in all of your interactions with us. And we're just humbled and grateful for how welcoming you've been to the community, or the community has been to us. And I can't wait to be there tomorrow and to open service. And with that, I just say thank you. Thank you for embracing us, and appreciate your time this morning. And Bill, I don't know if you want to do questions later, but I'll head on mute for now.
Well, we'll stick with you and do a few questions right now if that works for you.
Absolutely.
You were great. Thank you for those words, and again for being with us this morning. And you were talking a little bit about the heart, and I really like the piece of it is that at the heart of our brand is our people, and the symbol of our brand is our heart. And
Right.
I just think that speaks volumes about the culture of Southwest Airlines. We've got some questions, Bill, for you this morning. The first one is coming from Raymond. And Raymond is asking, Southwest is known for your marketing. What do you consider the most effective marketing platform you use for driving the business and brand of Southwest?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I actually had an update from our media team yesterday on how the different channels were working. You know, at the end of the day, I think a good brand sits on a good product, and that there is probably nothing more powerful than word of mouth, than sort of an endorsement, someone you trust deeply telling you good things about a brand. At the end of the day, I think that's the most powerful thing, because the product has to prove out. It has to do what it says it'll do. and people spread the word. But with respect to marketing techniques, we found that they all work together. So we look at things from a funnel, upper funnel video, all the way down to paid search. And of course, sometimes you'll see the conversions with paid search a little bit more, and upper funnel video takes a long time. We've had ads out there that you may have seen and want to get away. They're very engaging. And we're usually going after a pretty big reach curve, probably about 70%, and it can take 6 weeks to reach that. I will tell you this, I don't think it's anything too confidential. I had one of my proudest days last week. We had a $29 sale, and the team had put together a plan, and it was following a 6-week window of engaging marketing and upper funnel video, also having some social and programmatic, and then the paid search, of course, at the bottom. And we track what we call last click attribution. So if someone clicks on a marketing asset, it doesn't capture people who look at it and then .com, but if you click on it and go through and shop, what percentage of the overall business is that? And last week on Monday, as we had our sale, it represented about 50% of the shops that came in, which is incredibly high for a last click attribution. So in short, what I'd say is they all need to work together. It depends on your budget, but at the end of the day too, I think it isn't just good enough to have good marketing. You've got to have a good product that goes with it. And if you do, the marketing will be more efficient. You don't have to spend as much. You can build loyal followings through things like social, which are incredibly effective, and essentially a digital word of mouth for endorsement.
Thank you for that. Next question is coming from Helen. And Helen is asking, what makes Southwest make the decision to expand service within a market?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's a formula. There's a formula when we travel. And what I look for is this a few different things that I think make the perfect market? Is this someplace where people want to go? It's got the name brand recognition. They're going to want to spend their points and go on vacation. Savannah Hilton had check. Is this a place that has thriving businesses locally that would want to travel us outbound? Savannah Hilton had check. Is this a place where there would be repeat business, where people would come back over and over? Check. Is this a place that if we put it on our network, even when you look at the numbers, there's a certain potential beyond the numbers that when you hook it up with the Southwest network, there's sort of a brand synergy, not to use a consultant word there, but a brand alignment, I guess, that fits perfectly with who we are and our customer base and what we're doing. And I look for all those things, the inbound traffic, the outbound traffic, how much strength is there in both sides? And then, of course, we decide on how we hook it up. But that's basic formula of what we're looking for. And I think this is a great example, too, where the numbers are strong, and then there's even higher potential beyond the numbers.
All right. Thank you. Another question is coming from Kathleen. And Kathleen is asking if Southwest has early boarding for people with disabilities.
We do. Yes, we do have early boarding. There's a process for that. You call in, and it used to be a blue card. But we absolutely accommodate folks who need special assistance boarding.
All right, thank you for that. And then Kay is asking, is Southwest now filling middle seats?
Yes, we had middle seats open until about November. And we were looking at the data and the science and the studies. I think Harvard did one of the studies that showed the essentially low potential to catch the virus on board. And that's for a number of reasons and a number of CDC recommendations that went with it, which had to do with the HEPA filter, which is on board and captures 99.9% of air particles. And then also the airflow of an aircraft, which is very different from office buildings or even your home. Many people don't know this, but the air is actually refreshed every 2 to 3 minutes on board. And so those little jets you have on board, the way they flow through the aircraft, go out of the aircraft and new air is brought in. It's high circulation there, which makes the air quality between that and the filter, the hospital grade filter, makes the air quality better than most office buildings or most places where you'd spend your time. That all got us comfortable, along with the study of the contraction rate. I forget, I mean, it was it was very small, like under 100 within a billion or something like that, based on the study, that we decided to start allowing more seats to be filled on board in December. And it hasn't been an issue.
Okay, thank you. One last question. We've got
Sure.
several more, but only time for one more. This one is coming to us from Carolyn. And Carolyn is asking, saying, Southwest has always been known as an employee's first business. What do you think is the biggest mistake companies make when it comes to staffing?
Well, I think you have a live example over the last year. I mean, our competitors did pay cuts and furloughs that weren't within the spirit, in my opinion, of the government assistance that took place. And they were almost eager to make reductions. Gary Kelly, who just continually amazes me, I'm so proud to have him as a leader, made it clear that we weren't going to do that last year. And then when the payroll support went through March this year, we weren't going to do pay cuts or furloughs this year. And so I think a lot of people can talk about putting their employees first. It's sort of a trendy thing to do. I can tell you by working for Gary and the board there, they absolutely walk the walk. Just a couple of years ago, he gave each of the members of the executive team a book, and it was called Rules of the Night. And he talked about good companies having a strong moat around their business and knights in the castle. And you're talking about a CFO who's absolutely just brilliant with the numbers, brilliant with business. He spends the majority of his time with the leadership team talking about behavioral expectations and constantly reminding us that our employees are our number one job.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you for being with us. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow and having a great kickoff with our new partner, Southwest Airlines.
Well, Kelly and Bill and team, thanks so much for having me this morning. I really appreciate it. It's a great way to start the day off.
It's great to see you today, and I know we've had several questions we didn't have time to get to, but I'd also say if you'd like to hear take a deeper dive conversation with Bill, check out our chamber podcast entitled 5 Questions, where we talk with thought leaders like Bill and others. And just a plug here that you can subscribe to the Chamber channel and our podcast series on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. And Kelly has placed a link to all 3 of those in your chat box. And that was a great conversation that we had just a couple of days ago. And I would encourage you to check it out because there's more great information that the Chief Marketing Officer from Southwest Airlines, Bill Tyranny, had to share. Bill, thanks again, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Many thanks to all of you. Take care.
All right. That was Bill Tyranny again, the Chief Marketing Officer with Southwest Airlines. And with new ways to get from point A to point B, thanks to Southwest, many turn to one of the most trusted voices in travel, and that's Travel and Leisure. Travel and Leisure reaches a global audience of more than 16 million savvy travelers. They're a go-to source for travelers in the know. And at the helm of Travel and Leisure is their editor-in-chief, and I'm proud to say my friend, Jackie Gifford. Jackie and her team inspire others to experience the world, including Hilton Head Island. We're proud to be on the coveted Travel and Leisure's Reader's Choice Awards list of top islands for the last 5 years running, and of that, 4 in that coveted #1 spot. You could say Jackie inherited her love of travel. She was born in Japan, lived in the Middle East growing up, visiting such far-flung locations as Hong Kong and many others with her family. Jackie has said she believes that tourism is a force for good, and we couldn't agree more. You'll see her traveling with her favorite travel buddies, which are her husband, Rob, and her fabulous son, Bobby. And I continue to be amazed how quickly Bobby is growing. Jackie is very fond of Hilton Head Island and the Low Country, and we're fortunate to have known her for many years, even prior to Travel and Leisure, and during her time with Brides Magazine and other national media outlets. Jackie's a great friend to Hilton Head Island and a friend of many here. And Jackie, welcome. We're delighted to have you with us this morning.
Oh, thank you, Bill. This is so nice. That introduction was lovely. I really appreciate it and appreciate you having me today. And, this is our new reality. I was really struck by your words that this has been a year, right? I can't believe it. It's been a year of doing this, but we continue to forge new connections and talk about travel and get people inspired for the future.
Well, thank you. What are you seeing, Jackie, that as the vaccinations are being rolled out, people are getting them into their arms? What do you see the next 6 months looking like as far as travel within the U.S. goes?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I want to start off by telling everybody just really quickly, Travel and Leisure never stopped publishing during the pandemic. Even a year ago when we moved everybody in New York to work from home, and it was, very traumatic, frankly, to get people used to this new reality. We continue to publish the magazine on a monthly basis. We never stopped publishing digital content, whether it was about, being inspired with beautiful views on Instagram, or how you could tour museums from the comfort of your home. And this is back in, last spring, when everybody was just sitting in their homes waiting for the world to open up. So when I look back at that time period and where we are today, and what I'm seeing now, frankly, Bill, is that there's a lot more sense of hope and optimism as people get vaccinated. I think the older generation, who frankly were some of the most avid travelers, particularly in the luxury space, they had been a little bit more hesitant to get back out there. But now that the vaccine is rolling out, I think they're actually going to be some of the first to reunite with their family members, hug their grandkids. I was really moved by what Bill said. That is all happening, and it's true. And especially with that new CDC guidance that came out, that if you've been vaccinated, it's okay to gather together with other people who have been vaccinated. And it really means that, these family reunions are going to start happening quite soon. And they've been cooped up at home for a whole year. So a lot of people are just eager to use this renewed sense of optimism, hope, get out there and really explore. And they've, again, they've been sitting at home for a year. So this is the time for them to get out there.
Do you think that travelers have been able to discover some great domestic destinations like Hilton Head Island versus going to other places, maybe like Europe or the Caribbean?
100%. We actually, one of the things we've been doing really at the brand is focusing on, there's sort of, I call it this two-tier strategy, right? So we know that people can travel domestically. They frankly have been traveling domestically since this all started. And a lot of times, they've been going to places that they see as, restorative, nature-filled. A place like Hilton Head Island has gorgeous beaches, golf, all the things where social distancing comes naturally, right? So we've been focusing on domestic content, and we did actually, our whole January issue was focused on domestic content. And then we did a list of places to go in 2021. All the, traditional travel media likes to do a grand list of places to visit in the coming year. And in years past, we've made sure that it was international and domestic. Well, this year I felt like, actually, you know what? I want to give our readers and our audience content that they can take action upon right now. And the ground shifts every day. We don't know how things are going to go. But the reality is people can travel domestically, and we don't see that changing. So we made this list, which has done incredibly well for us online. And the magazine, the tremendous reader response I got, that people were just thrilled that they could look and read this issue. It was our January issue, and see all these places in the United States that frankly they hadn't really thought about visiting before. That's not to say that people aren't eager to go to Europe or see other places, and eventually as international travel resumes, we'll see that pick up, of course. But in the meantime, and I actually think for the foreseeable future, there are a lot of people that are just not going to be comfortable traveling internationally as they were before, and they're going to look for I don't want to say easy escapes, but sort of more approachable escapes that feel that just make them feel comfortable. It's in their comfort zone, and they're going to stay longer. And I know we've talked about this, and you've seen, the length of stay has gone up tremendously. So with the flexibility, some people, if they're fortunate enough to work from home, with the flexibility that's given them, they're allowed to, perhaps move temporarily to a new place. They're allowed to stay a little bit longer. So all these trends, I don't see them going away anytime soon.
Thank you for that. Our destination is incredibly honored and proud to anytime that we're able to make the Travel and Leisure top 10 list, let alone be number one. I think our listeners would be interested in hearing how you do, how that list is compiled, and then really what it means to destinations like ours.
Sure. I think so. With the World's Best, it's our last year actually was our 25th anniversary, if you can believe it. It's our readers survey. It is, I think, one of the most powerful expressions of our brand, because we obviously, we're, as editors, we're out trend forecasting, looking and trying to set the tone of the travel conversation. But I also am eager to hear what our readers actually, what their favorite experiences are, and World's Best is the best expression of that, right? So we open up our survey this year. It actually started in mid-January. It's running through May. I pushed it back a little bit because we were still, I think, in the fall, a little bit uncertain, particularly around the holidays, which way this was going to go, right? And I think we now feel, I felt that after sort of launching the survey after the holidays was the right thing to do. So what happens with World's Best is readers get to vote. They get to vote on everything: hotels, airlines, islands. Obviously, that's your category. Cruise lines, airports, all these things, and they share their feedback with us. What makes a place great, right? And then we publish the results in the magazine and online. This is I think one of the best ways to do research, to do fact finding if you're a traveler. So it's a really powerful story, because I edited the survey for many years before I got into the role as editor-in-chief. And you can read these comments from longtime Travel and Leisure readers and fans, and they share their thoughts unfiltered about why they love a place, what resonates with them, what maybe they don't like about a place, and or how a place could improve. And I think it's a really great way, if you as a traveler are looking for inspiration, this is World's Best is where it's at. You just go on our site and read about all these amazing places and amazing brands. And I've seen over the years how a World's Best win can really transform a business, particularly, and I know you guys have felt this too, but even for some of these small hotels and small business owners, when a small hotel that has 8 rooms wins in World's Best, and the amount of response they get, it's incredible. And last year, what was really powerful with World's Best is, I decided to move forward with publishing the story. We got the results in the spring. Again, this is all happening in lockdown, when people are really just like, where is this going to go? And I felt that for the travel industry, it was important that we move forward with World's Best, and the results. It's traditionally always published, and it had been published in our August issue with the mid-July launch. And the response, once we went live, I did an Instagram live in our apartment. We couldn't do our traditional, big media appearance, because it just wasn't the right time. But the response that we got from our winners, from our followers, was just massive, because it was a boost for them. And our traffic that year was never higher. So people are looking for travel content. And that's one thing I want to stress to the audience, that even though somebody might not be traveling right this second, they're planning for their future trip, and they're researching, and they're dreaming, and they are again, once they get the vaccine, that's another comfort level. So all these things are starting to roll out. And, this has been such a difficult, painful year for so many people, but my hope is that we're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, that's good news. Deborah is asking that, do you expect to see the growth continue in the home and villa rentals as we've seen in the past?
Absolutely. I think that's a great question. And I think that the two things, one, some people still want that personal space, and having a home where you can cook your own meals, bring your groceries. Some people are really drawn to that, and that appeals to them, right? So that's that first need, and particularly in light of the pandemic, it can make life easier. The second part of that is, like I said before, grandparents who have now been vaccinated, who maybe haven't seen their kids or their grandkids in a year. A home rental is really easy for everybody, and that was true before the pandemic. That's going to hold true after, and those types of accommodations are key. And Hilton Head has them in spades. The other thing that I think hotels have been moving towards for a while, but I anticipate it's going to ramp up, is really improving on their suite product, and actually building out home rentals as a side part of as a side part of the property. And a lot of properties have been doing that, but I think that it's going to only go bigger from here because people just want more space. And particularly too, I think, I live in New York City. I love my apartment. And when I travel, it is nice to have, if I'm seeing my parents, it is nice for us to have a kitchen or a gathering spot where, we can make a quick breakfast on the go. And I don't think that this is anything new, but people should start to really think about what that product is going to look like in the future, because I don't see that trend changing.
Speaking of trends, Julie is asking if you see any changing trends in family travel.
Changing trends in well, the one big trend that I guess to set the stage, it's not going to go. Family travel is not going to go away, right? I think parents. Two things. Parents who have been stuck at home with their kids for a year are really eager to take a trip, and they want, the new family trip just might be a little bit different. One thing is, if people this year have been doing remote school, travel has become slightly easier for them because they can kind of pick up and go and do you can log in from anywhere. It's an extension of the working from home thing, right? On the flip side of that, I can tell you that the family travel for me has become a little bit more complicated for Bobby. And thank you for being so sweet about Bobby. That it's become a little more complicated because of the city protocols that you can hear the horns honking out there, the city protocols, the school protocols. So I can't necessarily travel as freely as I used to. So I'll say this, like, if people are going to go somewhere as a family, I believe that they're not going to just go for 3 nights. It's like the lift is, I think they're going to go for a little bit longer. That's what I chose to do when I did my very first trip, really long distance trip out of the country. Since this started, we went for 3 weeks because we felt like we're bothering to go. Let's make it a real thing. And, we had to pull him out of school. And so we felt like, well, we might as well just go ahead and do it and really enjoy the time away. These are all things, though, that I think what's going to be interesting, though, is the school year next year. If everybody really is back in school full time, and let's hope that that's what's happening, because I read about children really struggling and not being with their peers, and that's what my heart wants. I'm sure everybody who's a parent really wants their kids to be back in school. I think travel as a family might just continue to be a little tricky because of all these school regulations, but let's hope that the caseload is lower and there aren't going to be such strict quarantine requirements.
Jackie, thank you. We appreciate you being with us. Great information today. We know that our community is a great supporter and subscriber to Travel and Leisure, and we appreciate the friendship throughout the years.
Oh, thanks, Bill. It was great to see you, and everybody, best wishes for 2021. I think the, positivity and optimism are the 2 words that I want to leave you with. So thank you.
We'll take that away. Positivity and optimism. So we hope to see you maybe in September. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah.
All right. That was Jackie Gifford with Travel and Leisure Magazine. Delightful having her on with us today. With our next speaker has been with us, and she's certainly been the voice of calm and common sense, and has become a trusted source for South Carolina on all things COVID-19. We certainly appreciate her consistently being with us and providing the great information that she does on each of our calls. We know there's a lot that's happening and a lot of news on the vaccine front, and here to tell us the latest on that is DHEC epidemiologist, Dr. Jane Kelly.
Well, Bill, you are kind. Thank you, everyone, for inviting me. What I've got to present today is short but sweet. Lots of good news. Number of cases per day are down. This is specifically for South Carolina. That 7-day moving average of new cases is down for every region. The number of deaths is down for every region. The number of deaths among nursing home residents has plummeted because many of them most of them, more than 70%, have been fully vaccinated. So I want to speak very quickly just about we have moved into phase 1B. There's some new guidance from CDC about what you can do if you are fully vaccinated, and inevitably with a little plug for masks. So phase 1B, this information can be found on the DHEC website. Phase 1B includes a huge number of people. We moved there starting Monday of this week, that people can make appointments if they are age 55 and up. If they are age 16 to 54 with one or more of a number of different high-risk medical conditions, and also frontline workers with increased occupational risk. At one point, we were really discussing that this needed to be essential workers. And so that was some of the uncomfortable conversations around, what about hospitality? It's economically important, but are they really essential workers? Would they be in 1B? And we have pivoted. What South Carolina is doing is frontline workers are defined strictly by their occupational risk, not by what kind of job they have. So for example, yes, this would include a lot of people in hospitality. Frontline workers, they have to be in person at their place of work. So we're not talking about people who might be administrative teleworking, but they perform a job in which they're at increased risk of exposure due to their frequent, close, less than 6 feet, and ongoing contact with others in the work environment. So ignore the examples given down below. This would also include workers in hotels, workers in restaurants, if they are at increased occupational risk. It also includes some other groups of people who are, for example, in correctional facilities or immigrant detention centers, migrant farm workers. There are some other groups as well, just so that you know. And of course, anybody who was in phase 1A but didn't get vaccinated at that time can still get vaccinated. How will individuals demonstrate eligibility? Well, if you're going by age, we ask people to show an ID that shows their date of birth, but honestly, it is not required. You do not need to show an ID that shows your date of birth. It is not required. And for those other things, whether it's criteria of being a frontline worker or a testing that you have a high risk medical condition, we are asking people to be honest and to self-attest that they are in that category. They don't need to bring a doctor's note or an employer's note or some sort of proof. I want to talk a little bit about the new CDC recommendations, because this is a powerful, positive, but can be a little bit confusing. The new recommendations, and DHEC is embracing this, is that if you are fully vaccinated, and by that I mean if you got one of the 2-dose vaccines, we're talking 2 weeks after your second dose. If you go for the Janssen vaccine, which is a single dose, 2 weeks after that 1 dose. Fully vaccinated people can visit with other fully vaccinated people indoors without masks or physical distancing. They can also visit with unvaccinated people if those unvaccinated people are just from one household. So we're not talking about big group gatherings, but one other household and people who are at low risk for severe COVID-19. They can visit them indoors without wearing masks. What that means basically is grandparents can visit grandkids. But let's talk about those caveats. Also, it means if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to do the quarantine and testing following a known exposure. So I have this little visual aid to help you understand. The green dots are people who are fully vaccinated. They can get together. The orange dots that are solid are unvaccinated but low risk. So if you're fully vaccinated and you want to get together with those individuals who are unvaccinated, low risk, you can without those prevention methods. We're still a little nervous, right? We've got variants that are circulating that are more contagious. So we are not recommending that everything be completely open. There are other occasions where you want those prevention methods. For example, what if you are fully vaccinated and you want to visit your grandchild who's unvaccinated but low risk, but he or she lives with another child or a parent who has one of those medical conditions that places them at increased risk? You don't want to spread maybe you don't visit with your son or daughter who has diabetes, but you want to visit with your grandchild. Be careful. If you visit with your grandchild who is at low risk and they contract SARS-CoV-2 and then pass it to their parent who's at high risk, that's a problem. So in a nutshell, fully vaccinated people can visit with other fully vaccinated people, and people who are young, like under age 20, with no medical conditions. But in the public, we still want you to wear well-fitted masks, physical distancing. Not everybody's vaccinated yet. We don't have enough vaccine to have everybody vaccinated who wants to be vaccinated. So we're talking about things you can do in private, but when you're in public, you still have all those prevention measures about masks, distance, practice, other prevention messages, avoid medium and large size gathering, get tested if you have any symptoms. You don't have to get tested if you have been exposed, if you're fully vaccinated, but if you have symptoms, you should get tested. What about the people who say, well, I don't need vaccine. I'm young, I don't need vaccine. I would just remind people that there is something called long COVID. That is, that is a sort of a slang term, but it's a real medical entity. There are people who have had symptoms recovering from COVID-19 that have lasted for weeks to months, including in previously healthy young adults who only had mild symptoms in the beginning, but then go on for months of having disabling fatigue or insomnia. And remember, about half of people who've developed COVID-19 couldn't identify where they got it. They weren't certain who they had close contact with or where they picked it up. So we are still in that stage of being cautious, but things are opening up, and that's good. So until more of us are vaccinated, remember the variants. They spread more easily. We don't want more cases. We don't want more deaths, but it's very good news that we can start loosening up with regards to if you're fully vaccinated, you can visit with other people under certain conditions.
Dr. Kelly, perfect. I know that you've got to jump on at 10 o'clock with the governor. Thank you for squeezing us in, and we'll talk to you next time. And her slides will be available. We've gotten a couple questions from listeners that we'll get to Dr. Kelly and then get back to you with answers on.
Email them and I'll email back. Thanks.
All right. You're the best. Thank you, Dr. Kelly.
Thank you.
All right. That things certainly change quickly around here. She had a little bit of a window after 10, and then she was found out she had a call with the governor right at 10, so we needed to move her around. It's always great to have her wisdom with us, and great things come from Dr. Kelly. Well, it's hard to believe as we're moving on now that we're sitting here in March, and we're 36 days away from the RBC Heritage presented by Boeing. And what great news that is. We know it's going to look a little bit different this year, a little bit different than last year, which is a good thing, and a little bit different than previous years as well. And also, we're pleased to see that tickets are selling briskly for this year's event. I'm going to ask Kelly if she would to place a link in the chat box for tickets if you're interested in buying those, and I would encourage you probably to do so quickly before they're all gone. And we're delighted today to have our good friend Steve Willmott back with us, and he's planning for the only PGA Tour event in South Carolina, and certainly has been the man at the helm for the last 35 years, and that's Tournament Director Steve Willmott. Steve, we know you're busy, very busy, still trying to figure some things out. And what can you tell us that we can look forward to in the tournament for this year?
Well, Bill, thank you and good morning. And I appreciate you moving some things around because you're getting me out of an executive committee meeting down the hallway, and I'd rather be on this call. But then I realized you're on the executive committee, so I don't tell anybody else that I'd rather be on this call. But thank you so much for you and your team for coordinating these power hours, because to be honest with you, after Bill and Jackie and Dr. Kelly, we could have power hours for sure. They were great presentations, so informational and good stuff. And I'd like to give a shout out to Dr. Kelly too, and she's jumping on a call with the governor, and the state has been tremendous in obviously assisting this entire community, the entire state, and then us in getting to April, but we're truly excited about that. But I was going to put I'll be somewhat brief, I guess, but I'm all about questions here too. But for me to put a PowerPoint presentation together, what I'd be talking to you about today, this morning would be different at 1, which would be different at 4, because we truly are, like so many of us out there, working in real time right now. But so with that being said too, I first like to really, I thank all the continuing support and efforts of this community, and more importantly, even the patience with us in April. It's amazing to think that a year ago today is when Sports World shut down, and then everything else certainly followed from there too, and more importantly, other things, but certainly with regards to the tournament. Next week, the 17th, was when we had canceled the event in April, and then certainly we were fortunate enough to have the opportunity to have the tournament in June, which was turned out to be a win-win for many. It wasn't exactly what we wanted for the sake of the economic impact and the charity side of things, but it gave us an opportunity to be in good graces with the tour, but do the right things socially and in safety and health-wise, and be able to showcase this incredible community. But as Bill mentioned, he mentioned 36. I've got it down as 32 days. So I like your calendar better than mine, but we are around the corner. And we did make an announcement back in mid-February about us having a tournament with limited capacity. And with that, the decision was made, and please know, in working with the state, working with the town, working with the Sea Pines community, working with the Sea Pines Resort, and all of our partners, including, I'll give another shout out to our medical advisor, Jeremy Clark, in the hospital, and he and his team too. We want to do the right thing, as we all do out there, and most importantly, and where we are this year is certainly from the health and safety side. We want to be fiduciary responsible. We also want to be socially distance responsible as well. So there are some things that will be different this year. Fortunately, it's not what it was in 20, but it's also not going to be what it was in 2019. And we're excited about doing the right things and most importantly, getting our charitable platforms and programs up and running again, which we just announced recently. And then also, again, we want to make sure we handle and working with all the proper agencies and things to do the right things socially, safety and health and protocols as well. But we're, with regards to the event, we continue to reimagine. It's ever evolving. Last year, the word was fluid. This year is ever evolving and being reimagined. In us looking, the incredible staff and team that we have here, and as well as the leadership of this community and our trustees, we looked at many different options in approaching April, knowing that we're trying to get through April to get to 22, and we're excited about what's going to happen here in April. We have changed some things around, as you are aware of. We are going to be closed Monday and Tuesday. We are open Wednesday through Sunday. Limited capacity with regards to tickets. There is a Pro-Am on Monday, even though there's no spectators. We have a Pro-Am on Wednesday. Unfortunately, because of the bubble and safety reasons, there's no clubhouse access, so that changes some things as well. But we are working with all the powers that be of making sure we do the right things. And this community, as we all know, and as we heard earlier today too, is something special in this state, and the support that we have from Dwayne Parrish and from our mayor here, as well as Lisa Sulka, our mayor in Bluffton. The support from the community and town council has been tremendous, and it's truly a team effort. I'm fortunate to be a part of the team and maybe one of the coaches of the team, but it really is our tournament, and we're excited about showcasing it here in a few weeks. We are going to be announcing some player commitments here soon. We were going to announce yesterday DJ, number one player in the world, so I'm giving some inside info, but unfortunately RBC, some of you, if you're in the golf world, they canceled their RBC Canadian Open, their national event up in Canada because of all the things that they're going through. So they've canceled their tournament in June, but so out of respect and working with them, but we're going to announce DJ here this week, and then some additional players. And We're excited about a great week in April. It's going to be different. It's going to be reimagined, but with the support, the patience from all of our partners, our sponsors here in this community, our volunteers, our first responders, and so forth too. It's been collectively, we're in this together, and we're looking forward to an incredible April.
Thank you, Steve. And you mentioned volunteers, and that's a perfect lead into our first question. And that's coming from Robin. And Robin is asking approximately how many volunteers will be part of the event this year?
Well, we're actually staffed up like we have been in the past. We're actually turning some volunteers away right now, but we'll have about 1,200 volunteers. They've been reimagined in certain areas and all as well, but we have incredible support from our volunteers here. They're anxious to get going and get outside. We do have some policies and procedures that are going to be a little different than the States. We are, everybody on site, even though outside, will need to be masked up, and that's working with the PGA Tour and the networks. As protocol for now, I mean, who knows, that could change, but our volunteers know that, our spectators know that, and our partners know that will be a part of this tournament this year.
Thanks. The next question is coming from Tim. And Tim is just wanting to verify that there are only daily tickets for sale this year and not a weekly badge.
That's correct, and that's one of those things that is different than what we've done in the past. We traditionally have had clubhouse weekly grounds badges that covered 7 days. In working with Clemson and USCB over the years with our studies of how the tickets are used, we realize those badges are used 3.2 days for the week, and we never really, from an operational side, knew what days those individuals attended. And this helps us with the daily this year. It's not that we won't be going back this year for us to help with our cost, knowing that we need to have the same amount of transportation, whether we have 1,000 people out there or 25,000, because we have to social distance on the buses. We have to clean and sanitize each bus after everyone is off, each went on pickup and drop off and things too. So we are daily tickets. So this way we're able to know exactly from a food and beverage concession side, operational side, of how many people will be on the grounds those days. So it's a long-winded answer, but thanks for asking the question.
All right. Thank you, Steve. And Jennifer is asking, do you foresee any circumstances where additional ticket sales would open up and more people allowed in the gallery?
Well, great question. And what we've messaged forward and what we've done is, with regards to our tickets, and 2 offerings. It's basically a general admission tickets, which were the Plaid Pass, or our sponsor Village ticket, which is an all-inclusive ticket. There is flexibility for us to scale up. We're not doing a build out. We've contemplated back in the fall and as early as the first of the year of building out the entire site like we've done in the past, but with social distancing and the cost of building with that too. So if things do loosen up, we'd be able to, but we're selling tickets. We still have available, but we are certainly excited about the excitement from the community and the state, and people just wanting to get out there and see the best players in the world and continue to support the efforts of the Heritage Classic Foundation, which in turn gives back to charity, but also economic engine to help us all out, make it a win-win-win for everybody.
Steve, Fred is asking, where will the shuttles be running from this year?
Honeyhorn, and they'll be dropped off down in Harbortown as they have been in the past. And there are we have those lots inside of Sea Pines too, which again, you'll be dropped down in Harbortown. And those are either VIP sponsors, or we are selling some parking this year on a daily, weekly basis in case you'd like to, come inside of Sea Pines to be dropped off down in Harbortown.
Steve, if you would, talk just a little bit about what the challenges have been by putting on a different tournament. I know just from working with you and being a part of the foundation that things are changing not only daily, but sometimes hourly for you. So when you've got one plan in place and then the next day things change, just talk about the difficulties in dealing with that.
Well, it's a great question. I can go on for another power hour or so to talk about some of these things. But if you look at the fact that this time last year, a matter of a week from now, we canceled our term, and then 2 weeks later we announced the June event, and then all of a sudden we have this event. So we've really have conducted or not conducted 3 events in a course of a year. Last year, June, even though it was in the middle of everything and one of the first of sporting events back, it was easier to know that we had no spectators, and we were able to kind of control. We knew what our message was in moving forward. The interesting thing is, I tell people, is the bad news is we went through that exercise last year. The good news is we went through the exercise because we've learned from it. But with all the social distancing and the concessions and how they have to be handled, merchandise, no cash, no will call, these different things, it truly changes. And we're in a little situation right now. When I say situation, because we're going to print with some things. Obviously, yes, there is some hard materials that we have, but things are changing daily of how we have to conduct the business, but also how the pro-ams are handled, how the spectators handled, how the buses are handled, and all too. So this has been, without question, I mean, yes, this is my 35th year, and for years I've been saying I've been looking for that one status quo here, and it seems to continue to be status quo, and try to figure out. But incredible team, incredible efforts that we're learning too, in support from the community, but also with other tournaments. We are communicating on a daily basis, certainly weekly basis in some level, but on a daily basis with operational teams, sales teams, other tournament directors, the PGA Tour, in takeaways from last week, Bay Hill, this week, what's happening down at Ponte Vedra, and we'll take takeaways that we'll see what works, and we'll try to implement it. We'll see what doesn't work, and we certainly might take it away from what we have in our plan.
Steve, one more thing before we let you go. You mentioned other tournament directors. I know you're the chairman and president of TAC, the Tournament Advisory Committee. Not only is it a huge responsibility, it's also a huge honor. And I think that speaks volumes of you and what your leadership has been through to the Heritage Classic Foundation throughout the years. Just for a couple minutes there, just talk about what that Tournament Advisory Committee responsibilities are for you as the chair of that.
Well, thank you, Bill. And I actually got chill bumps in you mentioning it, because where I feel it's an honor, it's because of all the hard work of this community that has been able to showcase this tournament around the world, and best practices that I was elected into the position last year. And I oversee all the tournaments on the PGA Tour. So I sit on weekly calls, which is the TAC, which I chair. And then ironically, I sit on the PAC, and the PAC is the Player Advisory Council, and that's chaired by Rory McIlroy. So we were on a call 2 weeks ago in LA. And then also I have the opportunity to sit on the PGA Tour Policy Board, which we had a meeting last week in Bay Hill. But so that, yes, it's not good. It's great for me, but it's great for us. It gives us this community, because to hear about how great people love it here, for how great to hear of things that we do that are good, but it also gives us an opportunity for me to be on the inside, knowing of things that are working out there, what aren't working out there, and how we can do things better as well. So thank you for that, Bill. But it's an honor to represent this tournament, but it's an honor to represent this community more than anybody would ever know.
Well, we're proud of you, and again, we're delighted and honored to have you as our tournament director.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, community. Yeah.
Steve, I hate to let you go so you can run into your next meeting. I'll be zooming in with you in a little bit, but thank you so much for all you do, for joining us today, and we're certainly looking forward to a great tournament week. Great,
thank you, and thank you for all your support, Bill, and the teams too. And these calls have been wonderful. Thank you.
Great. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Thank
you.
That
was Steve Willmott, the tournament director and president of the Heritage Classic Foundation, joining us, updating on the tournament. And as we close out today, getting ready to celebrate our 1-year anniversary on Power Hours, I certainly want to do a shout out to our team, and that's Kelly Brunson and Kayla Boyder, Haley Martin, and Charlie Clark, who work each week to make these happen and to make sure that we have great guests and individuals that will be able to provide information that will be meaningful and substantial to each of you. So thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your week, and remember to be kind, stay safe, buy your RBC tickets, and wear your mask. Have a great day, everyone.